Hello and welcome to Saturday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today I believe that Mark has sent me a puzzle that should be a bit more approachable than some of those I've been trying over the last few days. This is called Roundabout, and it's by Joseph Namer. Now, Joseph is a fabulous constructor. Joseph can be quite difficult, but Mark said that this puzzle could take as little as 10 minutes. So you'll be looking at the video length now, wondering why it's taken me an hour and a half. Well, I'm hoping it won't do. I'm going to guess at 20 minutes because I think Mark may be overestimating the speed with which I can go through a puzzle. But certainly this ought to be approachable. And I am a little bit sceptical about this, though. I have to say, I've only got 2 given digits in this puzzle and 4 thermos. Admittedly, 2 of the thermos are quite long. And I suppose there are diagonals as well. So, yeah, interesting. Anyway, I'll read the rules out in just a moment. I don't have much else to tell you, to be honest, today. The only other thing I'd like to mention is that we are very close to the end of February, and come the 1st of March, if you're a patron of the channel over on Patreon, you'll be able to access our new Sudoku Hunt that we are busy preparing at the moment. We're quite proud of it. We're going to stick with an approachable hunt for the start of March. I think we had 1,700 correct entries for last month's competition, so let's see if we can beat that this month. And yeah, there'll be a chance to win Bubbary's U keys again. And yeah, so look out for that. It's only a couple of days away. Now, let's read the rules of Joseph's puzzle. They are as follows. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Each main diagonal, marked in blue, cannot contain a repeated digit. So basically, this diagonal here has to have all the digits 1 to 9 once each. Same with the negative diagonal there. Along thermometers, digits increase from the bulb end. Now, I haven't done a thermo puzzle for a while, but how do the thermos work? Let's look at this one. So let's imagine this square was a 2. Now, this is the bulb end of the thermo. So as mercury would rise up a thermometer as the temperature increased, so digits must rise as we move up a thermometer. So this would have to be more than 2. It doesn't have to be 3, it could be 4, that could be 6, that could be 7, and that could be 9. And that would be a legitimate way of filling this little bendy thermo. Do have a go at the puzzle. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And what I absolutely refuse to do, at least initially, is to pencil mark the thermometers. Because, of course, that is exactly what Pencil Mark would do. He would fill in every single option along these thermos. And sometimes it is a good strategy, but I don't like doing it. Or at least I don't like doing it early. I need to find something else we can do first, though. So, how long are these thermos? Are these 7-cell thermos? 3, 4, yeah, they're 7. So you can see there's a lot of symmetry to this puzzle, actually. The symmetry is around this diagonal, isn't it? It's amazing. It's amazing it's completely disambiguated by just the addition of the 1 and the 8. Because without the 1 and the 8, you could reflect the digits and they would, there wouldn't be a single solution. 7, so we've got... Okay, well I can see something, but rather annoyingly, and I'm beginning to suspect Mark's done this on purpose, it will be easier for me to show what these 4 digits are if I pencil mark the thermometers. These are a 1, 2, 3, 4 quadruple. I think we can say that. And that's because if we think about these are 7-cell thermos, so what's the absolute highest this digit could be? Well, it can't be higher than 3, because if it was 4, let's make it 4 and see why it breaks. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Whoops, we've got to put a 10 in here. That won't work. So the absolute maximum size of this is 3, and the absolute maximum size of that is 4. And because we've got symmetry, the same is true of those cells. So these cells have to be 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s. Oh, go on then, Mark. Go on then. He is a rotten thing. So this is what he would have done absolutely at the start. And you can see immediately that you get the 1, 2, 3, 4 quadruple. This is why he sent me the puzzle, isn't it? It's because it requires pencil marking. So 1 must be in one of those 2 cells, and 4 must be in one of those 2 cells. Okay, but what does that mean? So that, no, yes, okay, yeah. So we can ask a facetious question and get an interesting answer, because what I want to think about is, in fact, we don't even need to. Let's just ask where column 3's 1 is, because it's not down here, and it isn't able to be in those cells because they're midway along a thermometer. So column 3's 1 must be in one of those 3 cells at the top of the grid. Yeah, and that logic works exactly the same. So we have to remember whenever we get a puzzle that seems highly symmetric in terms of its clues, whenever we use one piece of logic, so I've used a piece of logic up here to place the ones in box 1, I must consider the same logic around the rotationally symmetrical point, which is of course the symmetrical point here, bearing in mind we're treating the line of symmetry as this diagonal. The symmetrical equivalent of column 3 is going to be row 7, and we can ask where the 1 goes in row 7, and it's got to actually be in one of 3 positions, but this can't have a 1 because we use the given one. So there's a small break in the symmetry there. Now, how do we use this? One of these is a 4. So yeah, okay, there's a small point as well. Because one of these digits is a 4, that means one of these digits is a 5, one of these digits is a 6, one of these digits is a 7, one of these digits is an 8, and one of these digits is a 9. And that might be important. Oh. Well, all I'm wondering there is that what that means, among other things, is that this cell could never be a 9. This cell could never be an 8, because if it's an 8, you wipe the possibility of 8 out from those cells. But because one of these is a 4, we know 8 must be in one of these cells. This is very interesting. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. So we get one digit restricted from most cells along the positive diagonal. Oh, nearly. 1 is very nearly restricted in row 3. And that's because 1 can never go partially along a thermometer, because obviously if we put 1 in any of these cells, we either have to put 0 in here. Well, we'd have to put 0 in here. That's the reason we can't put 1 halfway along a thermo. It's the same reason we can't put 9 halfway along a thermo. The tip of the thermo would have to be at least a 10. Yeah, so I was thinking about once, wasn't I? So 1 in row 3 can be here, I think. No, it can't be. Oh no, of course it can't be here because of the logic we've already pencil marked the 1. So it can be here. Oh, so it's one of 2 places. Ah, that's it. Oh, you silly man. Right, I'm so sorry. I'm being so slow. But look, where does 1 go in row 3? And the answer is either here or here. Now, why does that matter? Well, it matters because these cells see this cell. If this is a 1, we now can't put a 1 at all in row 3, and that's going to be problematic. So that's not a 1, which means that the 1 goes in the bulb of the thermo, which is the most unimpressive place it can go, because it basically places no restriction on this thermo. Okay. Right. So how do we use this newly found 1 in our solution? Well, we know 1 is in one of those 3 cells. Now 1 can't be at the tip of the thermo, so 1 is just in one of 2 positions in box 3. Now, okay, I don't know what that means. So 1 was locked into one of 2 positions here. 1 in column 7, which is the symmetrical counterpart, we've already looked at. It's in one of those 2 positions. So we can't take that logic any further, I don't think. So what are we missing? I feel it must be to do with the fact that one of these needs to be a 9, one of these needs to be an 8, etc. Oh, I tell you what I haven't thought about at all as well, and that's the diagonals. Ah, that can't be an 8, I've just noticed by Sudoku. So if this wasn't a 1, we would have to put a 1 on the negative diagonal in one of those 3 cells. Let me just think about that for a second. 1 is definitely off the positive diagonal in box 7. Not sure actually. If that's a 1, that would be a 1. That's interesting. Okay, can this be a 1? And the answer is, I think that would force this to be a 1. That requires me to put a 1 on the positive diagonal in this box, which can't go here. No, it can be. Okay, this is another silly line of thinking. No, that doesn't work. Right, what else can we do? We shall have a look instead at... maybe 8's in this box. How can this be a 10-minute puzzle? I've already had 10 minutes. I haven't found... I must be missing something simple about this. Although it doesn't feel like an easy puzzle. It could be that 2, 3, 4. Ah, okay. Right, that's interesting. So how could... Yeah, that cell cannot be a 4. And that's because, even this isn't that easy to see. If this is a 4, let's think about how this line behaves, so this thermometer behaves if this is a 4. If this is a 4, this has to be 3 and this has to be 2. And we only need to go that far, because now this cell has a problem. It can't be 2, and it can't be 3 or 4, so it has no option. And that logic, I think, is symmetrical. So if we try and put 4 in here, we get exactly the same problem with this digit, look. So we can do a little bit of a restriction from 4 in those 2 positions. Now, if these can't be 4, that means the cells above them can't be 5, and the cells above them now can't be 6, and the cells above them can't... Hang on. 4 came out of here, 5 came out of here, 6 came out of here, 7 must come out of here. And that's rather good, isn't it? That gets me a 9 in the grid. So this is now a 9, which means this could be the thermometer that has the 4 in this position. But is that necessarily true? If this was a 4, that would be a 9. We'd have 2 9s here. We'd have to put a 9 in the middle box in one of those 3 cells to fill the negative diagonal. 9 is in one of the 3 cells that we've got 8 earmarked for in box 7. 9 is in one of... 9 is in one of those 3 cells by Sudoku, so it's not in this one. So 9 is just in one of 2 cells now. Yeah, 9 in box number 6 has to be in one of 2 cells, so 9 is in one of those 3 cells. Now, what does that mean now? I don't know. I feel like I should know what that means. So now this 9, so we've got a small restriction on these cells here. But these don't necessarily have to be... I was wondering if they were different, perhaps it would restrict this cell, because these would both see the central cell of the grid. Okay, I don't know. So instead of that, where we must have introduced some new restriction as a result of these eliminations. Yeah, okay. That's not easy to see either. Look at the 8 and 9 we've got in row 9. And the 1, 2, 3, 4 pair we've got in box 7. So that digit is restricted. That can only be one of 3 things. And those 3 things I think are 5, 6 and 7. And that means I've got a 5, 6, 7 triple in column 3, which means that is not a 5. And if that's not a 5, that can't be... that can't be a 4 and that can't be a 3. Right, now we're away. Because now where does 4 go in box 7? It can't go here anymore, which means it must go there. So that's 4, which means this is the big thermo. Good grief, this forces the 3 there, which forces that thermo downwards. So that's a 3 by the power of elimination and magic. There's a 3 in one of those cells. 8 and 9 in row 7 now, because they can't go here, have to go in those 2 cells. So that's an 8-9 pair, which means that's no longer an 8. These cells have got to be 5, 6, 7 to complete box 7. No, that still doesn't seem to reveal all of the secrets of the universe, does it? So let's keep going. 2 must be over here. 2 must be in one of those 3 cells in box 1. 3 is up here. Okay. So what are those digits then? Those digits are 3 and 4, I think. So that's a 3-4 pair. Yeah, 3 is in one of these cells, isn't it, by Sudoku, I see. And okay, let's try and maybe we should try and complete box 9. We still need 2s, 5s, 6s and 7s. So 2, 5, 6 and 7. Mark has so sent this to me because it requires extensive pencil marking. I mean, now I've got a 2, 5, 6, 7 quadruple in row 9. So those squares have got to be 1 and 4, which means these squares are now 2, 3 and 9. Which means there's no 2 over there. So we've got a 5, 6, 7 triple here. Good grief. I'm going to ring him up straight after this. This is not easy. I refuse to believe this is easy. Okay. Come on. How do we make more progress now? We shall use the power of Grayskull. No, we won't use the power of Grayskull. We'll use some other power. I've got an 8-9 pair in this. Oh, that is interesting. Yes, I see. Look, there's an 8-9 pair in column 1. That means that there must be an 8 and a 9 in that triple. And that I've already got 1 in one of those cells. So this has become a 1-8-9 triple. Which means that is a 7. Which means that's a 6 and that's a 5. There we go. Now that's a 7. We've got 5, 6 on the diagonal. In this column, we need 4s, 5s and 6s. So this is 4s, 5s and 6s up there. These cells are 1s, 2s, 8s and 9s. Right, which is interesting because now I've got a quadruple on 1, 2, 8 and 9 in box number 1. So that means these squares are selectable only from 3, 4, 5 and 6. We can't put 8 or 9 at the start of a thermo that's 5 cells long. We will simply run out of space. So this must be a 1 or a 2. Oh, why have this? This was orange because it was one of the 2 positions for 1s, wasn't it? Ah, right. Now, the power of orange reveals to me that this square is an 8. See if you can see why. Agadmator style. Right. For those of you who managed it, congratulations. Now, the reason this is 8 is because reminded myself that these two could only be 1 made me think about these 2 digits. Now, what else can these 2 only be? And the answer is 9. You can't put 9 on the middle of a thermo. That can't be 9, and we've got 9s here, so that can't be 9. So in this row, 9 is also orange. And that means they're a 1-9 pair, which means this one is not a 2. But the key thing here is once you get a 1 and a 9 in those 2 cells, how could this ever be 9? It can't be, because if this was 9, both of these digits would have to be a 1, and that will be a problem for row 3. So that's 8, which means that's 9, which means that's 8, which means that's not 8. So we've got a 129 triple at the top of column 3, a 189 triple here, and something over on the right, which is 2, 4, and 7, I think. Which means these 2 are not 4. So perhaps this diagonal now, we've got, not that digit, we've got loads of middly digits, haven't we, along this diagonal? 3s, 4s, oh no, we haven't quite. It's really close to a quadruple. If I can get rid of 7 from this square, we've got a quadruple. Just let me think about this for a second or two. Please, 7 could come out of those 2 cells, but that's not the same as getting out of this cell. So this, no, I don't like the fact that this has got a 2 in it. If this couldn't be a 2, then again I'd have 3, 4, 5, 6, wouldn't I? And then that would force that to be a 7. So one of these 2 digits would be very helpful to work out. You know what I'm going to have to do, don't you? I know what I'm going to have to do. I already know what I'm going to have to do. I'm refusing to do it. I'm refusing to indulge the man. I'm going to have to pencil mark these. That's obviously what he's done here. Right, what about, I've got a 5, 6 on this diagonal, so there's no 5 or 6 in those positions. So 6 is a bit restricted. 6 is in one of only 3 places in box 5. And 5 is also restricted, look. So 5 is in one of those 3 cells. That's probably a function of symmetry somehow. Where does 8 go on this diagonal? I've not put 8 into any of those cells yet. 8 can't go here, so 8's in one of 2 positions. Oh, I know what it'll be. The central cell, I noticed this cell was resolved by this 1-9 pair, but the central cell also sees this. This cell can't be a 1 or a 9. Oh, we already knew it couldn't be 1. But it can't be 9, because a 9 would rule 9s out of those 2 cells. So, this digit can be 2, perhaps. I can't see why 2 is impossible. 3. Oh, no, this is not working. 2, 3, or 4. 5, 6 is ruled out. Oh, bother. 7 is not ruled out. 8 is ruled out, and 9 is ruled out. No, okay, that was not the correct continuation. Oh, you rotten thing. All right, I'm going to do it. Okay, so let's have a look at this thermo. It is of length 5, which means in theory this cell here could be a 5. It can't be because of the Sudoku we've done. But this has, in theory, the ability to be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So each digit along this thermo has an option. It has 5 options, which is why I hate pencil marking things like this. So that's got to be 2, 3, 4, or 6, 3, 4, 5, or 7, 4, 5, 6, or 8, and then 5, 6, 7, or 9. Now, can that really be 9? Sort of feel like it might be C. No, I'm not sure actually. I think maybe it can be. So this, I mean, that's done nothing. Two is a little bit restricted in this row. Having said that, 2 can go here or here only. I might pencil mark that. And that's simply a function of the fact we can't put 2 at the end of an enormous long thermo. Does that do something? 2's in that row are very restricted as well. I'm not sure it does. Bother. Okay, well let's check this one then. So this one we've got this square which can be 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6, I think. It can't be 3. 2, 4, 5 or 6. Please, there must be better than that. That's the same as, it's almost the same as this. Okay, 3, 4, 6 or 7. 4, 5, 7. Mark will be watching this video in paroxysms of delight. He really will. 5, 6, 7 or 8. Come on, Simon. We can do better than this, surely. Oh, yeah, actually I can a little bit. This can't be 9, so that one can't be 8 anymore. So that one can't be 7 anymore, and that one can't be 6 anymore. So this line is more restricted than its friend up here because, yeah, that's interesting, because this 9 rules itself out of this cell. So how do we improve this situation? I've got 6. Oh no, I haven't. I was about to say I've got 6's looking at this cell by pencil marking, but that can be a 6. How do I stop this being a 6? Then I could get rid of a 6 from this cell and I'd have a 3, 4 pair. Why is this square not a 6? The answer is it can very well be a 6. It's on the positive diagonal, negative diagonal. Oh, if it's a 6, maybe I have too many middly digits. Ah, right. This cannot be a 6, I don't think, or a 5 for that matter. And that's because, have a stare at this diagonal. I might be wrong about this, but I don't think I am. Where do the digits 1, 8 and 9 go on this diagonal? Because they don't seem, at first blush, to be in any of those 6 cells. So they must be in the other 3 cells. So that means these 2 squares have only got the ability to be 1s, 8s and 9s on the diagonal. And that means that I did get rid of 6 and 5 from this cell. Now the 5s are now pointing vertically, so that sort of forces this not to be a 5. Which does nothing, of course, because it can still be a 7. The 6s are horizontal. Now that's more interesting, because that gets rid of 6 from here, which is a 3, 4 pair now in this column. Actually, if that... no, if that can't be 6, this can't be 4 or 5 now. Because if it's 4 or 5, this has no option, so that's a 2. Which means that's a 2 in the bottom row, by the logic we looked at earlier. So now 2... Oh, so now this is not 2. So 2 is in one of those 2 cells. And the only place for 2 now in row 3 is here. This is not an easy puzzle. It's just not. This is very... Now that 2 gives me a 1 here, which gives me a 9 here, and a 1 here, and a 2 here, and a 2 here. That means I can remove 9s from those squares. So I've now got a 1, 8 pair in the middle box. Oh, and 1's down here. So, yes, okay. So where does 1 go in column 5 now? It can't go in any of these little cells, or that one, because of the 1 there. So it's got to go there. No, okay, I've already got the 1 here. 3, 4 pair means this square is not a 4. So this is 5 or 7. This can't be 5 anymore. So this is now 6, 7 or 8. It's not 7. Okay, this is now 6 or 8. And surely, said I, surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what thereat is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind and nothing more, and I don't know what to do. Okay. That's 7. means that's not a 7, so that's a 3 or a 4. Ah, so do these two have to be different? If these two had to be different, then this square couldn't be a 3 or a 4. Ah, okay, well let's not use these two. I don't know whether these have to be different or not. There may be a reason we could prove it one way or the other. But what I do know is that those two have to be different. And they definitely have to be different because they're in the same column of the grid. And these two see this cell. It might be easier if I make them not blue because of the blue going through this line. But so this is a 3-4 pair and they both see that cell. So if this was a 3, it would rule 3 out of both of those positions. Similarly, if it's a 4, it rules 4 out of both those positions. So that square is reduced to being 2, or it sees 2 on the diagonal. Right, there we go, 7 in the middle of the grid. Another very hard 1 digit. So that's a 7 at the top. That's not a 7 over here. And now, oh, that's not a 1, I've just noticed, because of this digit. So 7 in the middle of the grid. Now maybe we look at the positive diagonal now, where we haven't placed 3s, 4s or 9s. So that square's 4 or 9, sees 3. That square is, any of those things. Bother. And that square is 3, 4 or 9. But it says, it seems to see, I've got 9s pencil marked in those positions. Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. So this square is just down to 3 or 4 now, which feels like it might be important somehow. 3, 4. So 9 is definitely in one of those two cells. And you're right if you're thinking, I don't know what to do next. I definitely do not know what to do next. So this column needs 5s, 6s, 7s and 9s. So that square is 5, 6, 7 or 9. Oh, you rotten thing. You rotten thing. 7 comes out of this square. Oh, that's okay. The 7 in the middle of the grid takes 7 out of there. That gives me a 5, 6 pair and gives me a 7 here, therefore. Which I'm sure does something. I just don't know what. So I've got 5, 6 pairs along the bottom. It must be one of the thermos. There must be a way that we can do something with a thermo somehow. 1 are heats, 5s are vertical, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 9 in this column. Again, I could end up just with a totally pencil mark grid. 33 minutes for the, it could take as little as 10 minutes comment from Mark. That's just absolute rubbish. If anyone comments on this video that they tried this puzzle and it took them less than 10 minutes, or even just exactly 10 minutes, I will be very, very skeptical about that. I don't think Kota Morinishi would do this in 10 minutes. Okay, and I fully accept that I'm probably missing all sorts of Sudoku trickery here, but it just feels difficult. Okay, but come on, it might feel difficult, Simon, but there must be a way of doing it. Can we do anything more with this 3, 4 pair somehow, or can I resolve what this is? 3, 4, 5 is totally possible, I think. I don't see how to resolve this. Ah, right. Yeah, I do. Well, I've just seen something. Yes, okay. We can do something with colouring. I'm going to get rid of my red colouring, and I'm going to use purple colouring. Where is this digit in box 9? And the answer is there. Now where is purple therefore in box 3? And the answer is there. So that is now a 3-4 pair in the top of row 1, which means that's not a 4 and that's not a 3. And if that's not a 3, we can see 3 is now forced into box number 1. And 5 or 6 places a 4 here. Good grief. Okay. So we've got a 3 and a 4. This 3 gives me a 4 here. So that's no longer 4. Oh, no. Come on. 5, 6 or 8 into this little cell. I don't think we know which is which. And 4 on this diagonal means that square's got to become a 3. Which resolves my purple digit now as a 4. Good grief. Which means I get a 3 on the positive diagonal. I've got a 4-9 pair. This is a beautiful puzzle, but it is complex. 4-9 here. So I'm tempted now to pencil mark away, but I'm not going to. Let's just have a quick think for a moment or two. This 4 gives me a 2 in row 5. So this row now, I haven't got 3s, 5, no, I have got 5, 3, 6, 8 or 9. 3, 6, 8 or 9. Oh, 9 therefore is in one of those cells. No, I can't quite see it. I'm going to have to pencil mark it. 9 is not there for sure. 6 is not here for sure. 9 is not here for sure. So this is down to just 3 or 8. 3 in the box is in one of those two cells. 6, 8. Oh yeah, okay, so where's 9 in the row? That's the sensible question. It can only go here. So that gives me a 1-8 pair here and a 1-8 pair here. Which means that in this, yeah, I see, 8 can come out of these. These are a 3-6 pair. This now has to be an 8. 3 has to live above it. This 8 gives me a 6 at the end of this thermo. Now that might be helpful. Yes, that forces that down to be 5 because it can't now be 7. So now I've got a 7-9 pair at the top of column 7. I've got a 5 here which is resolving some 5s and 6s at the bottom of the grid. Yep, loads of 5s and 6s are getting done. I've almost done all the diagonals. I just need 5 and... no, not 5 and 7. 5 and 2 is it? Yeah. So 5 will go here. 2 will go here. And that must nearly be good enough, perhaps, to solve the puzzle. 7 must go here by Sudoku to complete that column. That gives me 7 and 4 over on that side. And that 4 sees the 4-9 pair in the middle box. So that gets me some more digits. That gets me another digit here. That's now a 6. I still can't quite see how to resolve the middle of the grid. But that 4 is interesting. So 4 and 1, 1 and 8. This 6 means that's now a 5. That's an 8. That's a something, a 5. 7s and 9s. This 9 is giving me a 3 here. So the 3 and the 6 get resolved. Okay, so we've got a 2-9 here and a 2 there. So 2, 9 go into the grid. 9 is placed at the top somewhere. 6 as well. Yeah, we can do that. So it goes 6, 9, 9, 7. 7 here. This square's an 8. That's a 1. That's an 8. And if we've not made an error, that's not an 8. It's a 3. And there's the puzzle done. Yay! 39 minutes. 39 minutes. Come on, give me a break. That was so tricky. It was tricky from start to finish. Let me just say, what have I not spotted about this? I had to get the 1, 2, 3, 4 quadruple. I will accept is a funny joke because it's much easier to see that if you just pencil the thermos, which is exactly what Pencil Mark would have done. But amongst other things you then had to spot was that quite tricky thing about those cells seeing their equivalents in these two positions. That was tricky. I did some stuff with orange around 1 and 9, I think, at some point. That was quite tricky. Had to do a bit of colouring in that column at some point. That wasn't the easiest thing I've ever done in my life. Yeah, that was just a lot of... It's a very intricate puzzle. It's a very clever puzzle because it's so minimal. You know, we've got 2 7-cell thermometers and then these piddly 5-cell thermometers and 2 given digits to differentiate everything. It's miraculous. It works, frankly. Joseph, as usual, has produced a brilliant puzzle, and I think I would have been absolutely fine solving it had I not been given this 10-minute, it could take you as little as 10 minutes guideline, which I'm about to phone Mark up about. So thanks for watching. I'm going to read the comments with interest. I really am. Remember, I do enjoy them, especially when they're kind, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.